so great to have you here. Thank you so much. Let's talk about this new exciting show, EWTN News In Depth. How does it fit into the broader vision for news programming at EWTN?
When we first launched EWTN News Nightly many years ago now, one of the things we soon became aware of was that in the context of a 30-minute network-style news program, it became very difficult and is almost impossible to discuss significant issues with any depth, with any real drilling down into the issue. And so it was always my hope that we could create a show that would complement what we do with News Nightly by bringing that in-depth analysis, that in-depth discussion of the issues to the table. And so that's really what EWTN News In Depth was designed to do, was really to bring new voices, new faces into a deeper conversation about the most consequential issues that we're facing today. I think the news show is going to be serious. It needs to be a serious discussion about serious issues that affect people not only here in this country but around the world, but also respectful. A respectful and balanced discussion of these important issues that brings out through that discussion how these matters, how these topics of discussion relate to Catholic teaching, how they can be viewed through the lens of Catholic thought, and really to hopefully bring its audience to a better understanding of contemporary issues and current issues through the lens of Catholic teaching.
What is it in our political and church environment, both at home and abroad, that makes this show necessary and timely?
I think we're living in a moment of confusion. We're living in a moment of isolation. Certainly this last year of the COVID pandemic globally has pushed people into isolation, has pushed people out of community. We see that in the closing of churches and the lack of access to the sacraments. And I think it's also a time of great confusion. We see that within the church, certainly, and we see that certainly within the secular politics around the globe. And certainly as Catholics, we look at the situation we have with President Biden in the White House, who constantly is touting his devout practice of Catholicism, yet is so inconsistent with the teaching of the Church. That creates so much confusion for people. So I think it's important for this show to be a way of clarifying and a way of diminishing the confusion that exists throughout the world, and most especially here at home.
The World Over with Raymond Arroyo has been on for a very long time, and Pro-Life Weekly with Catherine just celebrated its 200th episode. And I think you would agree with me that EWTN viewers have made News Nightly their nightly news source. 2 years from now, 5 years from now, where do you see EWTN News In Depth? Where's the hope for this show?
My hope is that EWTN News In Depth becomes a resource for people around the globe that they can turn to have a better understanding of the most important and most significant issues that are impacting them today, but also impacting us for generations to come. And my hope is that EWTN News In Depth can be a force for discussion and a force for change in the church and in the broader culture as well, to bring Catholic values, Catholic understanding to the issues of the day. I'm very excited about this show. I think from the very moment that we began to discuss the concept, I felt this is an important show for EWTN News to bring forward, and I am so excited to see that concept now finally being realized.